Hey students, Miss here. I'm going to go through the math homework using this video. Hopefully it will help you in solving your problems. Um, Solving equations can be really fun. It's one of my favorite things to do in algebra. We've now moved into algebra because we have variables. And we're trying to solve for those missing variables. That's what an equation is all about, trying to solve what is m going to be to make this sentence true. Remember, these are equations because they have an equal sign. Okay, so we're going to start with asking ourselves the question, what operation is in this problem? We see addition, so we're going to circle addition. And then you're going to ask yourself, what's the inverse operation? So inverse means the opposite. Well, the opposite operation of addition would be subtraction. So in order to solve for m, we're going to subtract from both sides. So we are going to subtract what? Well, we're going to subtract the 17. If 17 plus 17 and minus 17, that gives me 0. And pretend there's like a little balance here. So whatever we do to the left, we have to do to the right. So I subtracted 17 on this side of the equal sign, so I have to subtract 17 on this side of the equal sign, the right side. So I'm going to do 52 minus 17. You can do your regrouping if you want to. 4 minus 1 is 3, or use your calculator. So what do we have left on the left? We have m equals 35. So now we're going to check our answer. If we plug in, if we substitute, the word substitute, I always like to think plug it in, plug it in. We're going to plug in that answer. So we're going to take 35 and see if it's correct. So we have m plus 17 equals 52. So I'm going to take the 35 and plug it in. Is 35 plus 17 equal to 52? Well, if you use your calculator, 35 plus 17, 35 plus 10 is 45, plus 7, well, 5 more would give me 50, and then 2 more would give me 52. So 52 equals 52. It checks out. So we know that m is 35. I always like to circle my answers too, so that I'm very clear, or box it in or something what your answer is. So let's do the second one. Here, this time this problem has the equal sign or the answer over here on the left. Well, don't let that confuse you, okay? It's just one side of the balance and the other side of the scale. So you got the balance on this side and you got your balance on this side, the scales. So it doesn't matter which side it's on. Now we're going to actually move right to left because we want to move things away from that variable. So we see that we have what in this problem? We have subtraction. What's the inverse, or the opposite of subtraction, is addition. So this is what's going to tell you what you're going to do. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to add 3 to both sides. Minus 3 and positive 3 is going to give me 0. If I add 3 over here, then I must do it to the left side. So 12 plus 3, so now what do we have left? We have D equals 12 plus 3 is 15. So my answer should be 15. Let's do our check. Let's write our equation. 12 equals D minus 3. Okay, so 12 equals, plug in the 15, 15 minus 3. Does 12 equal 15 minus 3? Well, 15 minus 3 is 12, so it checks out. Think of equations when you're solving it and you're trying to find the answer. You're trying to find what is the value of the variable. What's the value of that letter? Okay, now we have decimals. Don't let that confuse you. Don't let that make it more complicated. Decimals, whole numbers, fractions, it's all the same steps. First thing we do is look at the equation. What operation are we doing? We're doing addition. What's the opposite of addition? What's the inverse? It is subtraction. So here's my wall. I'm looking on this side. I'm trying to move things away from the x, away from the variable. So here we have plus. We're going to actually subtract the 22.2. And I'm going to subtract 22.2. What am I left with? X equals, and now I have to do 75 minus 22.2. Well, 75, remember if we put a 0.0 here, we can regroup. So this would be 14, oh no, that would just be a 4. 4 minus 2 is 2, and then 7 minus 2 is 5. So we have 52.8. So 52.8 and 22.2 gives you your 75. Because 50, 60, 74, and then 0.2 and 0.8 gives you 75. So that is correct. X equals 52.8. So now I'm going to plug in my answer. First, I'm going to write the equation. Plus 52.8 equals 75. So I'm trying to check to see if this is correct. So I'm going to add 22.2 plus 52.8. So if I do that over here, again, you can just use your calculator if you want to. Miss Sarah's going to use her brain, and I can see that it checks out. So the left side, this together makes 75, which also checks out to be 75. So we are correct in that X is 52.8. Let's move on to number 4. Look at your equation. Looks a little weird, looks a little different. Each equation is a little different. This time the variable's over here. We got the balance here. We got our wall right here. So we look at the problem. It's an addition problem. We need to do the opposite, which is subtract. So I'm not going to add 5. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. 5 minus 5, that becomes 0. So I'm just left with y over here. Y equals 103 minus 5. Well, let's see. 103 minus 3 would be 100. And then take away 2 more would give me 98. So y equals 98. Let's take our equation and plug in the 98. 105 plus 98. Let's see if that equals 103. 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103. That is correct. So we have checked out. Number 5, we got decimals. Looks a little different than the last one. It's not a big deal. You can still do the same steps. This is addition, so we're going to actually subtract 0.5 from both sides. Those go away. I'm going to subtract 0.5. Make sure you line it up correctly here with those decimals. And then we have v left over, so we have 4.25 minus 0.5. Now remember, when we subtract decimals, we have to line up those zeros. 2 minus 5, I can't do it, so I'll make it 12. So I've got 7 and 3. So 3.75. Again, you can just use your calculator. Miss Hare's using her brain power today. Coming back from vacation, need to get that brain working. And I skipped my step over here. It was addition. We did the opposite, which was subtraction, or the inverse. So now I'm going to check and make sure this works. So I'm going to write my equation. Equals 4.25. If I have 3.75 and I add 0.5, does that equal 4.25? So if I add these together, I'm thinking of money here. So if I have 75 cents and 50 cents, this is really 50 cents. If I add a quarter, that gets me to 4, and then I still have a quarter left over. So it does get me 4.25 and 4.25. They are correct. They are equal. Okay, so down here, looking at your equation, it's a subtraction problem. We're going to do the opposite, which is addition. So here's my balance. I'm going to add 3.2 over here. That's going to cross those out. And I'm going to add 3.2 over here. So now I'm left with x equals 16 plus 3.2. Again, we're doing decimals, so if you want to add these, you need to line up those decimals or just use your calculator, and you should get 18.2. X equals 18.2. I'm going to write my equation. 16 equals x minus 3.2. 16 equals 18.2 minus 3.2. So 18 minus 3 is actually 15. So 15, so something's wrong. Miss Hare did do something wrong here because 18 minus 3 is 15. We need 16. So something's wrong. I need to go back and check my work. I see my mistake now. Right here, 0 plus 2 is 2. 6 plus 3 is 9. So it should have been 19.2 equals x. So that's why the check is so good, because now I know I made a mistake. 19.2 minus 3.2. So now I have 16, let's see. 19 minus 3 is 16, and 0.2 minus 0.2 is also 16. So that was a good mistake to show you guys that the check is very useful, so don't skip that check part. If you have any more questions or you need extra help, make sure you reach out. Miss Sarah will be glad to have a help session, or make sure to go to Miss Straka's help session Wednesdays at 10 o'clock. Talk to you soon.